hope you're having a good day wherever you are. This is Phil Yaeger, and I'm here with Ron Premuroso. Ron is my expert. He's not it sounds like a very possessive thing. Ron is the expert on auditing and BEC. This man knows his auditing and BEC, right? He teaches it to all of our CPA review candidates, and they can't say enough good things about him, really. He's just a very concerned, considerate person. So anyway, Ron is going to talk about the changes which become effective July 1st on the exam, July 1st, 2021. And as you shall see, there's a lot of changes in the BEC and the auditing. So maybe you want to take those before, if you can get a date, take them on June 30th, at least one of them, and you'll be in good shape. So Ron, I'm going to turn this over to you and take it away, please.
Okay, Phil. So we're addressing specifically here BEC and auditing, as Phil just mentioned. And as he said, there are a substantial number of changes to both parts of this exam starting effective July 1. Okay, so on my screen, we've sort of summarized it for you. The good news is there's a removal, Phil, of the following topics. Regulatory frameworks except for SOX, okay? Because remember, Phil, this is BEC, so management is responsible, especially publicly listed companies, for compliance with SOX. So all of the other frameworks that were in BEC before have been deleted. Also, there were some general macroeconomic contents like calculating gross domestic product. That's been eliminated. Also, the aggregate demand curve. That's been eliminated. And finally, money supply and its impacts on the overall economy. There used to be a blueprint on that, and that's also been eliminated. Okay. At the same time, Phil, more good news. They've actually simplified the testing of, but we all know what simplification is, right, Phil? IT systems development and maintenance, and also IT continuity and recovery plans. They've taken some of the fluff out of that and made it pretty basic for a senior level accountant on what they should know and what they should be able to answer regarding system development, maintenance, continuity, and recovery plans. The big ones, Phil, and these are big, very, very, very big changes, okay, are to content sections 1 and 4 of BEC. In content section 1, Phil, they have added a whole new section called business processes with 8 new blueprints, Phil, okay? And I'm remembering now, Phil, this is BEC, right? Business. So they're going to test now on the candidate's understanding of all the transaction cycles, okay, revenue to general ledger, expenditures, purchasing, production, human resources, etc., okay, and the controls that are required there from a management point of view, Phil, to ensure the reliability of the financial statements, okay? I just summarized for you, Phil, 8 blueprints there in a very concise manner, okay? But when the candidates see our books and how much we've expanded our coverage there, you will get a very good understanding of how expansive that is, Phil, okay? So, Phil, also, that's sort of tested in auditing, okay, business processes. But in auditing, Phil, it's internal controls, right? And the audit perspective of business processes. Here, it is the management of those business processes, okay? And again, to ensure that the financial statements are reliable, okay? So also in there, Phil, briefly, is preventative controls, detective controls, corrective controls, right? Which is a responsibility, of course, of management under SOX, okay?
Now, so Ron, I want to ask you, do they get all of this, if they decide they don't want to take Yaeger CPA review, the only course that has the blueprints, and that's the material they test from, and they go to one of our competitors who we know really doesn't integrate the blueprints. Can they get this all in college?
It's a hodgepodge, Phil, of coverage in the accounting information systems class at the graduate and undergraduate level, and a little bit of auditing, Phil, at the undergraduate and graduate level. So yes, they can get it in school, okay? And by the way, those are generally, right, Phil, required courses in most undergraduate programs and maybe even in a graduate program to get the 150 hours. So, but Phil, the longer you've been away from those courses, the less you're going to remember. Okay. So we have done a very specific job addressing the real contents of each of the 8 blueprints in business processes in detail. So we're assuming the candidates, Phil, have not seen the material either recently or any time recently. Okay, so that they can be prepared for this portion of the change in BEC. The next 3, Phil, are in content section 4 of BEC. That's information technology, Phil. Okay. And here they added a bunch of new blueprints again, addressing data management and analysis. Now, that's not news to us, Phil, right? Because we know the AICPA has been talking about adding data analysis to the exam for a couple of years now. And then also system development and change management. Now, that's really, in my opinion, Phil, not new, but it's a little bit more specific now as to what the candidates need to know and the involvement that they would have in new system development, also acquiring new systems, right, from suppliers or vendors, and also change management. That means for software and program controls. The data management, Phil, and analysis is the first step of the toes by the AICPA into data analysis. Okay. What we can expect there, and we'll have examples in our materials, is they'll be given some type of data output, the candidate, and then asked to interpret what does that data output mean from a business point of view, not an accounting point of view, not an auditing point of view, but from a business point of view. Okay. What is it telling the candidate about trends in the business, expenses, revenues, et cetera, et cetera. Okay.
All right. So, Ron, you mentioned that they're changing things in that area and that area. Well, the only way they can know if what you're talking about is to go and get a copy of the AICPA blueprints, right?
Correct.
Now, that is available on AICPA.org. However, all they do is give you the blueprints. They don't explain them. See,
No,
we have the
no.
blueprints integrated, but we
Correct.
explain them. Okay. What was
Yep.
that one point that was on there, Ron? Okay, there we go.
On the bottom of that slide, I said, Phil, it's very important. Our recommendation is BEC has the most changes, and the candidates that are listening to this video need to seriously consider studying for it now. We just had our review sessions, right, Phil, live on the weekends. We have recorded videos for sale in our website, okay, going through each one of the present content sections for BEC, but we really recommend that people get on passing BEC right now. Of course, now it's May and June, right? This is the time to study for and pass BEC.
Ron, do we have any financial accounting that we are selling on our website?
Yes, we have videos for financial accounting. Yes, we have videos for auditing, which I'm going to cover in a minute, Phil. All of these videos, Phil, have been recorded during this calendar year. So they are right now all up to date for the blueprints, Phil, from July 1, 2019. Okay, so these are wonderful tools to study for either the entire exam, Phil, or parts of the exam. Okay. So now, Phil, I want to go through auditing, okay, the changes to auditing. So for auditing, what do you notice, Phil? Business processes again, right? The expansion and new testing of more details related to business processes, okay? Candidates, you should know what a business process, of course, is, right? Accounts payable, accounts receivable, disbursements, payroll, purchasing, blah, 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 right? And the internal controls, Phil, that are critical when an audit's being performed that the auditor tests, okay? And there, Phil, is the audit data analytics, okay? Now that will be tested from an audit point of view. In other words, they may give you in a simulation, for example, the output from an audit data analytic exercise and ask you to interpret what does that output mean for the auditor. For example, should they expand their substantive testing? Should they expand their compliance testing? Or are there some exceptions in there that the auditor should spend more time reviewing? And that's just a very simple example, Phil. The other thing, Phil, SOC1, SOC2, okay? This is a large part of the auditing and accounting practices these days of CPA firms in the United States, okay? These are organization control related reports, right? That firms are getting and also auditing. If you outsource, Phil, all of your invoicing, for example, to Amazon or some type of cloud computer, cloud computing company, or payroll or accounts payable, okay? You can ask those providers to provide you with a copy of their service organization control reports. And those reports, Phil, are focused on testing internal controls within those third-party entities, okay? That's a very brief overview. But again, Phil, our materials, we will have a lot of material information in our materials on these two reports, SOC 1 and 2.
Is SOC, is that the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, or is that another?
No, that's the AICPA, Service Organization Control reports. And designed initially right by the AICPA, and the professions kind of run with it. There's actually SOC 1, 2, and 3, but the new blueprints only have SOC 1 and 2 in them for auditing. Okay, Phil, then there'll be some simplified testing. You can take a guess at that, but with regards to subsequent events, which to me is kind of surprising, right? Because subsequent events are pretty important in auditing, Phil, type 1 and type 2 subsequent events, but they're going to simplify that. They're not going to want you to know as much about developing a detailed audit engagement plan. Also, as much as you used to have to know about what preconditions should you look at before accepting a new audit engagement, auditing procedures related to related parties, going concern. Now that I understand, Phil, because a senior, right, is not going to have much exposure on a going concern. That's going to be handled at a very high level, right, and an audit by a manager or a partner. So at this level for the exam, they've simplified it. Also, litigation claims and assessments, written representations, and then they used to have in the blueprints a lot of compliance reports, and they've simplified the testing there.
Ron, was going concern on financial accounting?
Yes. Yep.
So they took it off financial accounting and put it into auditing, correct?
Yep. But in a very simplified way, Phil. Very simplified.
Does that mean like spell going concern?
Yeah, if you can spell going concern or the basics behind going concern, you should be fine there. Okay. Then, Phil, they did remove a lot of topics in auditing, but I don't want to understate how big of an addition these new topics are. Okay. They did remove alerts restricting the use of written communication, single statements, opening balances, auditing derivatives, Phil. Remember, they took a large part of the derivatives, right, out of FAR, except for the basic concepts, right, on derivatives and foreign currency. Well, the auditing of derivatives has been deleted, okay, completely from auditing.
On the derivatives, they left it in financial accounting on, the embedded derivatives.
Yes.
That's tough to know.
Yes, very basic though, right? I mean, very basic compared to before, right? When there were cash flow hedges and fair value hedges and
that's not on anymore.
Other things, that's all gone, right? Communication of other matters with management and those charged with governance is taken out. Again, that's more at a manager or partner level. Communications with component auditors, That's where you have foreign subsidiaries and there's other auditors for those foreign subsidiaries. And then also they took out, Phil, letters for underwriters and filings with the SEC, because again, Phil, that's not really generally a senior level responsibility. So a lot of that makes a lot of sense. Okay. So the recommendation's still there, Phil, not only for BEC to study and pass it now, but of course, auditing.
Now, we are trying, we're trying our best because we know not everyone's going to take the exam by June 30th. So we are trying to get out our new books, all right, effective for July 1st, really as soon as possible. And I set a new target date today for June 1st. Okay. Hopefully, we'll let you know if that changes, but we are pretty close to finalizing our regulation book and our financial accounting. All right. That's been also unbelievable. I mean, and then, as you all know, they're going to have in July of 2024? There's going to be another change. Is that right?
January 1 is the estimate,
I'm sorry,
2024.
January 1st, 2024?
Yes.
And they're going to have a new exam.
Yep.
All right? The CPA evolution.
Yep.
And then after they bring out the CPA evolution, there'll be the CPA revolution.
Yes. Yeah. In a similar vein, right, Phil? Yeah. Actually, I think I have a brief slide here, Phil, we can share with people.
Yes.
To really motivate them to pass the exam as soon as possible.
Was that it?
Right here.
Oh.
Right here. Yep. So, Phil, we just addressed the changes coming in 2021. Here comes the 2024 changes, Phil, on my screen. There'll be a core exam plus a discipline licensure model. Each candidate has to pass a core, Phil, of audit, tax, accounting, and technology. You notice what's missing there, Phil? BEC is gone, but it'll be integrated into the rest of these. Then, Phil, you will choose a discipline to demonstrate your deeper skills. They're still developing those, but it looks like right now, advanced tax, advanced accounting, analytics, and information system concepts. Looks like the four disciplines which will be in the licensure model.
Now, when asked, what about the experience requirement? And they said the experience requirements will probably be the same.
Yes.
Well, if they're going to be the same, all right, the experience requirements say you have to either work in a public accounting firm for a period of time or work under a CPA for a period of time. All right. So what's the point of choosing a discipline if the bottom line is, all right, your experience still has to be in public accounting?
No, I think it's just to demonstrate to a larger field of potential employers, Phil. For example, if you're going into the field with the experience requirement, passing the core, and then a licensure model of information system concepts, Phil, you've now expanded your capability, right, for being hired into more of an IT type focus, right, inside of a corporation, inside of a company.
So what's the experience requirement going to be?
I don't know for this part, Phil. But
yeah, that's why I thought they said that. Let me quote them because I listened. They said, all right, the experience requirements will be the same.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yep.
So what's the point? They want people because people.
Time for change, Phil.
What?
Time for change. That's
Time
all
for
I can.
change, yes.
Yes.
And Ron, by January 1st, 2024, where do you see yourself?
I will be in that CPA cloud in the sky, Phil. Looking down at everyone and saying, I wish you had passed the exam prior to this change, Phil. That's the key.
And Ron, I'm going to be in the AICPA home for the aged, all right? But every day we have silent reading of the pronouncements.
which has never ended, right, Phil? Because they're still going.
But
This-
on a serious note,
yeah,
all right, we're trying to show you. We're not trying to scare you here. We're just trying to show you these are the facts. Okay,
yep,
all
yep,
right. And as a famous detective from the 50s, because I used to watch TV in the 50s, Sergeant Joe Friday used to say, "It's only about the facts. That's it. It's only about the facts." All
yep,
right. You got to be from that time to understand that quick
yep.
joke. All
So
right.
please check out our website, everyone that's listening. All the videos on auditing and BEC are all there. Phil and I recorded them since January. You know, go get them. They're there and available to help you pass auditing and BEC. And then we have some great videos also on FAR, which we've been recording in the last year to help you with complex topics in FAR. Over to you, Phil, to conclude.
Well, thank you, Ron. I hope we, didn't. I mean, the number of people taking the exam has been cut. I hope this doesn't cut it even more. I really,
Yeah,
because I did a podcast a few minutes ago, and just like every other CPA, he said he never regrets getting a CPA. It's made
never.
a difference in his life. Okay, very interesting. He has a practice that all the clients are breweries.
Mm. Oh, that's a good practice.
Yeah, and I had the other day, I had a very interesting. I had a gentleman who's a specialist on, uh, he calls it dope. Okay. And now that they're legalizing it, hey, he'll be the only one to do the accounting for it. He runs
Yeah.
a course on that. And
Mm.
also, he's familiar with the Internal Revenue Code section dealing with that. So, hey, these are people who are CPAs. All right. It's not just doing debits and credits, there's a
Yep.
lot of interesting stuff out there on the horizon. Okay. So, Ron, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk to you again as we get closer and closer. That's what we're here for, to help you
Take
and give you information. Take
take
care,
care,
Ron.
everyone.